Welcome back. We're here to discuss Saturday's Premier League match between Bournemouth and Everton. Barnes, let's start with the home side. Last time out, squandered that 2-goal lead against Swansea.
Yeah, really disappointing in the end. I think if you had offered Eddie Howe a 2-2 draw against Swansea before the game, he might have taken it, but the manner in which it happened, really disappointing. 2-0 up after, I think it was 26 minutes. You can't afford to blow that against a team in Swansea's form. 1 win in 9 they went into that match with, and with Bournemouth really struggling for a victory, that's a gift to them. There was poor defence from Swansea to give them both goals, so you can't afford to let that one slip. They let it slip straight away with you getting a goal back straight after Gosling made it 2-0. Then Shelvey got the penalty, and it was quite a quick fire comeback from Swansea in the end. I think it was 2-2 at half time, and then no further goals in the second half, so it wasn't exactly like a late comeback from Swansea, but it will still hurt Bournemouth because the position they're in, 19th in the table now, they can't afford to let that happen. Again, they were the better side in the team, but they didn't come away with what they deserve, which has pretty much been the story of their season so far. They should have a lot more points than they've had the way they've played. Haven't always deserved to win every single game, but they've played pretty decent football, and it's a bit like Burnley from last season. They got a lot of plaudits for the way they stayed, for the way they played. But in the end they got relegated. They probably got relegated the right way, if there is a right way to get relegated. But I'm sure the fans right now would rather be in the Premier League and then having stayed up playing a bit more negative football. And I think Bournemouth might need to do that if they need to stay up, because the Swansea game was probably the best example so far. 2-0 up, you can't let that lead go. To concede 2 goals against that Swansea team in poor form, so disappointing.
Yeah, they took their chances really well, didn't they? Gosling's goal especially was a really good finish, and then you'd probably say in the second half, after Swansea had got back so quickly, they probably did quite well to get a point out of that, because you would have thought the home side, resurgent like that, they might have gone on to win, but in the end they did okay to get a point, and that ended a 5-game losing streak in all competitions, so that is a positive for them. But when you look at their recent record, it's just 2 points from their last 21 available, still 1 point from safety, so they're not far off. But the way they're going at the moment, you see teams like obviously Sunderland winning on Monday night, and you see other teams, improving a bit. Bournemouth, they're going the other way. You do wonder if they're going to sort of start slumping down. Villa going to improve a bit under Remy Gard. They've got some tough fixtures. Villa, I can't really see them getting out of it anytime soon. But the same with Bournemouth. It's hard to see them really moving up the table anytime soon. And you think, we've talked enough this season about all their injury problems and all that kind of stuff, but are they going to be able to spend much money in January? They're still quite a small club, aren't they? So is there that many funds there available to spend money in January? They do need to, you feel, because they've lost so many key players. You got the likes of Mark Pugh, who's a big player for them, Lee Tomlin, their doubts for this game as well. They've just got so many problems, and even though you've got players like Richie who are impressing at this level, it doesn't seem like it's going to be enough at the moment.
And you mentioned a couple of doubts there. Artur Boruc is also a doubt for this weekend, which, considering their defensive record so far this season, could hurt them. They've got the worst defence in the league with 27, and as you mentioned, we've talked about their injuries, but most of them are going forward. Likes of Wilson and Grade, or 2 key attacking players being injured. Mings has been injured as well at the back, but he wasn't even in the team really. He wasn't a regular starter despite his big money move in the summer. He wasn't a regular starter before he got injured, so they haven't had too many debilitating injuries at the back, but they still got a poor defensive record. And again, I think that comes down to their style of play really. Just they like playing open attacking football, and it is easy on the eye, but they need to tighten up at the back at this level, otherwise they're not going to win games. If you keep giving that many goals away, you're just not going to get the points you need to stay in the division, and it's hard, as you say, to see them climbing up the table. They've got a tough run of fixtures coming up. This game against an informed Everton is obviously a very tough one. Then after this they got Chelsea and Manchester United in the next 2 games. Okay, Chelsea haven't been in the best form this season, but they look like finding a bit of form now. Manchester United, very tough team to beat so far this season, up there in second place at the moment. So it is going to be difficult for Bournemouth in the coming weeks and over the rest of the season. First things first, they need to tighten up at the back. I think Eddie Howe might need to sacrifice a bit of his playing style and maybe tighten things up, because at the moment it's just not working for them.
Absolutely, and to be honest, they're going to be hard pressed to keep a clean sheet this weekend. They come up against an Everton side, 4-0 winners against Villa last week, 6-2 against Sunderland recently. They're the 3rd best scorers in the league. Only Leicester and Man City have scored more. And like I said, last weekend against Villa, a very impressive performance there, 4-0. We thought maybe Villa might cause them a bit of problems. Remy Gard would go there and try and shut up shop, but it didn't work that way at all. Lukaku and Barkley both with a brace. There's been goals all over in recent weeks. Delafeu's been playing really well. He had another great game down the right. Kone's coming with goals. He didn't score last weekend, but he's playing well. The whole team looks like he's playing very well. Barkley was back to form after some disappointing performances, I thought, for England over the international break, and obviously Lukaku, he's one of the informed strikers in the whole league. Him, Harry Kane looking really, really good at the moment, and Lukaku joined Fowler, Owen, Rooney, Ronaldo, 50 goals before the age of 23. That's some elite companies in there, so he's done really well there. Look where it leaves him in the table, 6 points off the top 4. We know that Everton's fixtures, they continue to get better after their really tough run they had, and the way they're going at the moment, Everton, they're one of those teams on the periphery of maybe being top 4 contenders this year.
Yeah, and they're now unbeaten in 4 games in all competitions, so they are in decent form at the moment. And their only actual losses this season have come to Man City, Manchester United and Arsenal, which is 3 of the top 4 at the moment. So they're losing only to the teams right up there, and you wouldn't expect them to be really challenging. Probably not for top 4 quite this season, although the form they're in, they'll throw their names in the hat with the likes of Tottenham, likes of Liverpool, all of them. It looks like being a really competitive race for the top 4 this season. The big game after this one, they would expect probably a victory against Bournemouth, and then they got Middlesbrough in the League Cup, which again they'd expect a victory, but it's a huge game for the club because that silverware, it's been too long since they won silverware. 1995 I think it was their last trophy, so that is a big game for the club. And as you mentioned, their fixtures, they got Crystal Palace, who have been inconsistent this season, they got Norwich, Leicester, okay, they've done a lot better than everyone expected, but then Newcastle and Stoke as well after that. So it is a kind run of fixtures, as you say. They've got the vast majority of the big boys in the first half of the season out of the way pretty early on, so they should be pretty confident of getting a good run of results going heading into Christmas, heading into the new year, and then hopefully second half of the season they'll hope to carry on pushing up the table, certainly in the mix for a European place at the moment. The way they're playing, they'll be right amongst them. Away from home, they've only won, there's been a bit mixed form so far this season. They've had a few too many draws. They've only won 1 of their last 5 Premier League games on the road, but only lost 2 of their last 10 as well. 3 draws. The only defeat has been at the Emirates. We know how good Arsenal are at home in the Premier League, so no shame there in that away form as well, and they'll fancy their chance of getting the victory here.
Yes, there's 2 teams sort of going in opposite directions here. Which way do you see it going?
Yeah, I'm going to back Everton here. Bournemouth, as I say, they've been playing good football, but they're not getting the results. And Everton, they're playing good football and getting the results. So I'm going to back a away victory 2-0, I think.
2-0. I'm going to go for a few more goals than that. I think Bournemouth might be able to score a few, and the way Everton are going, like we said, they've been scoring a lot of goals. So I'm actually going to go for a 4-2 away win. So we've got a 2-0 win for Everton and a 4-2 win. Thanks for joining us.